It began with silence. A great white ship drifted through the endless dark, its engines humming softly like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. It was not a warship. It was not built for battle. Its long silver hull carried no cannons, no missiles, no fighter wings. Painted across its sides, in every galactic language, were the words, "Mercy Vessel, no weapons." Inside, the ship was filled with life-wounded soldiers resting on clean beds, children laughing faintly in the medical wards, old civilians whispering prayers as robotic doctors moved from patient to patient. The Mercy ship was hope. It was sanctuary. It was supposed to be untouchable, but in the void, there is no promise that holds forever. For hours, the ship sailed in peace. Stars shimmered beyond its windows, and the crew spoke quietly, believing their duty was sacred. And then, without warning, the stars changed. Shadows rippled. Something vast slipped out of the dark like a predator from the deep. At first, the sensors failed to even register it. And then 3 enormous shapes appeared. Warships, they emerged from stealth, their hulls black as oil, jagged like broken teeth. No hail, no warning, no signal of intent, just the cold silence of killers. The crew on the Mercy ship froze. Protocol demanded they announce themselves again, broadcasting their codes, their status, their right to safe passage. And so they did. The message was sent in every known channel. This is a Mercy vessel. We carry no arms. Carry only the wounded. We ask only for safe passage, as agreed by galactic law. For a long moment, nothing happened. The warships hung there, their shadows blotting out the stars. Then came the first shot. It was not a warning shot. A bolt of plasma tore through the Mercy ship's side, slicing open its hull. The explosion threw patients and crew alike into chaos. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed. Fire tore through a medical ward where children had been sleeping. Return fire. Someone shouted instinctively, but there were no weapons to return. No cannons, no missiles. Nothing but the fragile hull of a vessel that had never been meant to fight. The second shot came. Then a third. The Mercy ship shuddered, its frame breaking apart, its engines dying in flames. One of the med bays vented to space. Bodies and equipment ripped out into the vacuum in a single terrible breath. Screams echoed through the combs. A doctor pushed children into the escape hatches with shaking hands. Soldiers on stretchers begged to be taken, even as orderlies wept, knowing there was not enough time. One pod launched, then another, and then another warship's cannon fired, vaporizing one of the pods before it could escape. Desperation became horror. The captain of the Mercy ship, her voice shaking, made one last broadcast. Her image flickered across every open channel, her uniform torn, blood on her forehead, alarms screaming behind her. This is the hope of dawn. We are a Mercy vessel. We carry civilians, carry wounded. We're under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. This is an act of war. Anyone who hears this, please tell Earth. The screen went black. The last transmission of the hope of dawn was carried on broken waves of static, racing into the void. Most of it would be lost, but not all of it. Somewhere, far away, the signal scraped its way through, battered and weak, till it reached the edge of human space. It reached Earth. At first the galaxy laughed. They heard whispers of the attack. Of a Mercy ship destroyed, of human lives burned in the cold of space. Some alien leaders shook their heads, calling it a tragedy. Others dismissed it. After all humans were young, fragile, and loud, many believed the humans would cry out for help, beg for pity, demand the galaxy punish those responsible. But that did not happen. When the broken signal reached Earth, when the governments of humanity saw the horror, when the names of the dead were read aloud, something else settled over them. It was not begging. It was not pleading. It was silence. In war rooms, buried deep beneath the surface of Earth, screens went dark. Generals leaned forward in their seats. Admirals folded their hands. The president of Earth listened to the final words of the hope of dawn and then whispered just 2 words. Prepare everything.
I know, bitches.
no promises. No broadcasts to the stars, just orders. Humanity had been mocked before. They had been underestimated before. But never had anyone dared to strike a mercy ship. Never had anyone targeted civilians under the banner of peace. This was not war. This was not conquest. This was not even politics. This was a crime. And humanity had never been forgiving of crimes. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. Rumors filled the airwaves. The humans will not fight. They are too few, too weak. The humans will send envoys, beg for justice at the Senate. Humans will collapse just as others before them did. But even as the galaxy whispered, strange things began to happen. Human fleets vanished from their patrol routes. Merchant convoys were recalled to port. Distant colonies locked down communications. Something was moving, something vast, but no, one could see it yet. Alien empires tried to calm themselves, insisting humanity had no strength to strike back. But in the quiet, doubt crept in. Stories resurfaced. Old stories of the first contact wars, when humans, cornered and desperate, had fought like no other species had ever fought before. Whispers began to spread. The humans are not speaking. That silence was worse than any war cry. On Earth, preparations began. Massive shipyards lit the night skies over orbit. Engines older than most civilizations were reawakened, humming with power. Dreadnoughts, hidden in secret hangars for decades, were brought online. Weapons the galaxy had never seen: gravity spears, plasma storms, eye-guided swarms were tested in silence. Families across Earth wept as names of the lost were read. But their tears hardened into steel. No one shouted for revenge. No one sang for war. No one argued for peace, because every human knew the truth. There would be no mercy this time. And in the alien council chambers across the galaxy, its leaders began to worry. First, they thought the humans would lash out wildly, blindly, but they didn't. Instead, Earth grew colder, quieter, more deliberate. The silence was terrifying. Alien diplomats begged for answers, sending endless messages to Earth. Do not act rashly. Let us investigate. Let us speak. But no answer came. Not a single word was returned, because humanity was not planning to speak. They were planning something else, something the galaxy had never seen before. The wreck of the Hope of Dawn drifted silently in space, torn apart, broken bodies still. Floating in its shattered hull, the 3 warships that had destroyed it had long since vanished into the dark. Confident they had silenced the humans, but they had not silenced them. They had awakened them, and when Earth finally moved, when its fleets finally rose from the shadows, the galaxy would remember this moment, not as the beginning of a war, not as the start of a campaign, but as the moment when mercy was betrayed and humanity answered with wrath. It began not with shouting, not with anger, not even with grief. It began with silence. The distress call of the Hope of Dawn had reached Earth broken. It was full of static, filled with screams and then silence. It had played once in the Great Council. Chamber beneath Geneva. No one spoke as the final words echoed through the darkened room. We are a mercy vessel. Carry civilians. Under attack. Tell Earth the message ended. A long, terrible silence followed. The president of Earth sat at the center of the chamber, her hands folded. Generals and admirals stood at the edges, their faces pale, their jaws tight. Politicians fidgeted nervously, expecting outrage, fiery speeches, calls for vengeance. But the president did not speak. She simply whispered, "Seal this room," and the world changed. When alien fleets bombed human colonies and past wars, Earth had shouted. When treaties were broken, Earth had demanded justice. But now, nothing. No broadcast, no threats, no speeches. Only closed doors and dark screens, for the first time in its history. Earth's leadership went completely silent, and across the galaxy, that silence was more terrifying than any scream. In the depths of Earth's hidden bunkers, war councils formed. Screens lit up, showing admirals from orbital stations, generals from deep space colonies, Black Ops leaders whose names were not on any public record. The president's voice was calm as stone. They bombed a mercy ship. They killed civilians. Children, doctors, there can be no forgiveness. The galaxy must learn. Mercy is sacred. The council did not argue. They did not ask who was responsible. They did not discuss morality or politics. Those questions no longer mattered. Instead, the first question asked was, how soon can the Black Fleet be ready? The room went quiet again. Then one admiral answered, 72 hours. The Black Fleet. It was a name whispered in the shadows of Earth's military. Officially, it did not exist. No records, no broadcasts, no budget lines. But in the secret hangars beneath Luna's surface, in the shipyards hidden beyond Jupiter's storms, in the vaults orbiting Saturn's rings, it had been built. Ships designed not for defense, not for patrols, not for peacekeeping, but for one purpose. Vengeance.dreadnoughts, black as the void, coated in stealth alloys. Carriers whose bays could release entire swarms of AI-driven hunters. Weapons the galaxy had never seen. Gravity spears, able to tear fleets apart at the molecular level. Plasma storms that could strip the atmosphere from a planet. Rail cannons, so vast they could shatter moons. And now, for the first time, the order had come. Bring them online. Across Earth's networks, commands were sent, crypted, silent, unseen by the galaxy. Civilian fleets were recalled. Merchant traffic was rerouted. Colonies were told to hold position and cut transmissions. Earth's war machine shifted in silence, like a predator lowering itself before the strike. And still, not a single word left the planet. No alien ambassador received a call. No galactic council was informed. No declaration of war was made. Only silence. Across the galaxy, the silence grew heavier. On the world of Kelra, alien merchants whispered in fear. The humans are quiet. That is not normal. On the station of Vela Prime, a senator scoffed. They cannot act. They are weak. But others remembered. Old soldiers from forgotten wars muttered warnings. Do not trust their silence. The last time humans went quiet, they burned half a system. Panic began to ripple. Spies sent messages home. Human fleets were vanishing from normal patrol routes. Satellites had gone dark. Shipyards near Mars and Titan were sealed. Something was moving, but no one could see it yet. The galaxy's rulers gathered in secret. Meetings of their own? Should they condemn the attack? Should they reassure the humans? Should they prepare their defenses? But the humans did not answer their messages, and that silence made every empire uneasy. In the deepest chamber of the war, Council, the President stood again. We will not beg, will not ask, we will not wait. They will not expect what comes next. A general asked, do we declare war? The President shook her head. This is not war. This is judgment. Step by step, the plan formed. Identify the ships that fired on the hope of dawn. Track the species that commanded them. Not their soldiers first, but their leaders, their factories, their councils. Break not just their fleets, but their will to ever strike at humanity again. Every admiral agreed. Every general signed. The Black Fleet would not just fight, it would teach. Still the galaxy did not believe. It expected humans to appear before the Galactic Council, shouting for justice. They expected long debates, endless negotiations. But when the council chambers lit up, Earth's seat was empty. No ambassador arrived. No message was sent. The other empires began to whisper, why are they not speaking? What are they planning? Why is the silence so loud? And one old alien, scarred from forgotten battles, said only this, when the humans are quiet, run. Back on Earth, the silent preparations reached their peak in the vast shipyard above Jupiter. Dreadnoughts roared as their engines ignited for the first time. In the black vaults of Luna, pilots entered cryo, ready to be unleashed across the stars. Weapons once considered too dangerous to test were armed. Orbital A is awoke from slumber. their synthetic minds calculating strategies faster than any general could dream. And in every home on Earth, citizens watched the news in grim silence. They saw the names of the dead from the hope of dawn. They wept, but no one spoke of peace. No one spoke of forgiveness, because they all understood. The galaxy had broken the one law humanity would never allow to be broken, the protection of mercy. And for that, there could be no forgiveness on the 72nd hour. The president stood before the War Council one last time. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. The Black Fleet is ready. The galaxy believes us weak. They believe us paralyzed. Let them keep believing. We will not announce ourselves. We will not warn them. We will strike first. We will strike fast. And when we are done, no one will ever touch a mercy ship again. The room stood in silence, every officer saluting. The order was given. The Black Fleet moved. Across the galaxy, alien patrols reported strange disappearances. Ships gone without distress calls. Stations found drifting, their crews missing. Entire fleets silent and still. No one could see it. No one could prove it. Only whispers. Only fear. The humans had gone silent. And in that silence, the galaxy felt the weight of something terrible approaching. Something no one could stop. Something no one could survive. The wrath of Earth. It began as whispers at first. Only rumors. A merchant ship traveling through the edge of human space claimed to have seen something. A fleet vast, black, and silent, moving like shadows across the stars. When asked for details, the crew gave none. They only shivered and said, "The humans are awake." Most laughed. Joda shook their heads. Assisted as fear. But whispers spread fast in the galaxy. Whispers once born, never die. Across trade routes, across alien taverns, across deep space ports, the rumors grew. Ships vanishing. Colonies gone silent. Patrol fleets failing to report. No distress calls. No survivors. Only silence. And behind every whisper was the same warning. It's the humans. The galaxy tried to ignore it. Senators dismissed it. Journalists mocked it. Generals claimed humans lacked the power. But deep down, fear took root, because the humans had not spoken since the Mercy ship was destroyed. They had not protested, had not begged, had not accused. They had done nothing at all, and that silence was worse than war. On the capital world of the Drath Alliance, the leaders gathered. "Humans cannot fight us," one senator said, sneering. "Their fleets are small. Their technology is crude. They are nothing." But another senator shook her head. "Then where are their patrols? Why do their shipyards burn with light? Why are their colonies silent?" The room grew uneasy. On Vela Prime, a military strategist reviewed old battles. He whispered to his aides, "Do not trust them. When humans are desperate, they do not retreat. They do not plead, they fight, and they fight like no one else." Aides looked at him nervously, but they had said nothing. The strategist answered, "That is what terrifies me." In the neutral zone near Zilla Station, a group of refugees told their story. They were traders who had traveled close to a border where human space met the unknown. "We saw them," one said, eyes wide. "We saw the Black Fleet, a ship larger than a city. Its hull swallowed the light of the stars. It passed us by, silent. But when it turned, he stopped, trembling. When it turned, it was like a predator staring at prey. We could feel it. It let us live, but it wanted us to carry the story." Others shook their heads in disbelief. But still the whispers spread. And then the disappearances began. A Valian patrol fleet, 30 warships strong, never returned from the border. A Zeeth fuel convoy vanished, its signal cut mid-transmission. A listening post on the rim reported human ships moving in silence, and then its feed went dark. Still, no evidence. No wreckage. No transmissions. Just silence. The galaxy demanded answers. Where were the humans? What were they planning? And why were they so quiet? Part 3, on the world of Kelra. Alien merchants debated in a tavern. "They will strike, Yule." C1 muttered, "They can't. Another argued. They are too weak. Then why haven't they spoken? Because they are afraid. No, because they are planning. And silence fell over the table in distant corners of the galaxy. Older species remembered the Crotha, scarred from the first contact wars, recalled what it was like when humans were cornered. They remembered fleets of frigates ramming battleships, twice their size. They remembered soldiers fighting hand-to-hand in the vacuum of space. They do not surrender, old Crotha captain told his grandson. They endure, they bleed, and then they rise. The galaxy has forgotten, but I have not. The grandson asked quietly, what if the whispers are true? The old captain closed his eyes. Then the galaxy is already doomed. In the great chambers of the Galactic Council, empires argued. Some demanded sanctions on humanity. Others demanded investigations. Many called for restraint, but one thing united them: unease. Why do they not speak? Asked the Chancellor of the Zaith. Every species cries out when attacked. Every species seeks allies. Every species demands justice. Why do the humans not do this? No one had an answer, because no one understood. Ambassadors were sent to Earth. Messages were broadcast on every channel. Some begged forgiveness. Others offered condolences. A few demanded explanations, but none were answered. The humans remained silent. And the longer the silence lasted, the more the whispers grew. Soon, stories became darker. A mining station claimed to have seen a human fleet pass nearby. Later, the miners were found alive, but shaken. They swore the humans had not fired, they had not attacked. They had only looked. Do you know what it feels like? One miner asked. To be stared at by a predator that chooses not to strike? We were nothing to them. Nothing. Another station reported seeing lights in the dark human ships moving in perfect silence. Out. No broadcasts. No signals. Just shadows gliding past. They are hunting, the survivors whispered. The whispers grew into fear. Fear grew into panic. Alien leaders increased their defenses. Fleets were recalled. Borders were sealed. Some even began to whisper about striking. First, destroying humanity before it could act. But no empire dared, because no one knew where the humans were, and no one wanted to be the first to find out, in the end. It was not a battle that shifted the galaxy. It was not proof. It was one message. A single transmission, intercepted from the wreck of a destroyed pirate fleet. The audio was broken, filled with static, but a single sentence remained clear. The last words of a dying pirate captain. It's them, the humans. They came from the dark. Then silence. The whispers now had teeth. The galaxy knew the truth, even if it had no proof. Humanity was moving. Humanity was preparing. Humanity was silent. And every empire feared the same thing. When the silence finally broke, when the humans finally spoke, it would not be with words. It would be with fire. The galaxy had waited in silence. Waited for an answer. Waited for words. But Earth gave no words instead. Gave shadows. It began at the edges. A patrol fleet. Of the Drath Alliance 50 ships, strong vanished near the neutral border. No distress call. No survivors. It's just silence. Then, 2 days later, a Zeeth fuel convoy disappeared. Dozens of tankers, gone without a trace. Their escorts never reported in. Their families never heard from them again. At first, the galaxy called it coincidence. Pirates, perhaps, or an accident. But then the reports grew stranger. Stations found. Empty. Crews missing, yet ships left undamaged. Patrols returning with half their numbers, the survivors pale and trembling, unable to explain what had attacked them, and in every whisper, in every frightened report, the same words were repeated. They came from the dark, the humans. The first clear proof came at Yalarusavan, an outpost of the Kelra Dominion, a fleet. Of 30 alien warships patrolled the system, confident and strong. Their commanders laughed at the whispers of human vengeance. They believed Earth was weak, too small to strike back, and then something appeared. At first only shadows. strange distortions on their scanners. Then, black shapes sliding out of the void, not like other ships. These were larger, darker, hungrier. Their holes seemed to drink the light, swallowing the stars behind them. Their movements were silent, precise, perfect. The Black Fleet had arrived. The Kelra commander tried to hail them. No reply. He tried again, his voice shaking. The human fleet opened fire, but it was not like normal weapons. The first shot was not a laser. It was not plasma. It was something new, something no one had ever seen. A spear of compressed gravity slammed into a Kelra cruiser. The ship didn't explode. It simply folded, crushed in on itself, collapsing into a ball of broken metal. Panic spread through the Kelra fleet. They fired wildly into the dark. The Black Fleet did not move. Then came the second weapon, a wave of plasma storms that ripped through the lines, melting ships into slag. Screams filled the Cums as vessels broke apart. The Kelra tried to retreat. Engines roared. Ships fled toward the edge of the system, but one by one they vanished, pulled into the dark, shredded by invisible claws. When it was over, 30 Kelra warships were gone. Not a single human ship was destroyed. The Black Fleet moved on, silent as death. The news could not be hidden. Survivors spoke in trembling voices. They did not answer. They did not speak. They only killed. The galaxy erupted in fear. Humans are hunting us, cried one alien leader. They will destroy us all, shouted another, and yet no one dared to strike back. No empire wanted to move against humanity, not without knowing how powerful the Black Fleet truly was. So they waited. And in that waiting, fear grew. But Earth was not striking at random. Every target was chosen with care. First, the patrols, to blind the enemy. Second, the convoys, to starve them of fuel and supplies. Third, the outposts, to spread fear and confusion. Humanity was not fighting a war. It was sending a message, and the message was clear. You bombed a mercy ship, and now there will be no mercy for you. In ports across the galaxy, ghost stories spread. A merchant ship claimed to have seen a human dreadnought the size of a small moon. It had passed by without firing, its weapons glowing faintly in the dark. A Kelra refugee swore he saw entire fleets vanish into the shadows, dragged away by ships that made no sound. A Zeeth captain broke down weeping, insisting that human warships had looked at him, just looked, and let him live. And each story ended the same way. They are not fighting us. They are teaching us fear. In the grand chambers of the Galactic Council, panic ruled. We must unite against them, cried the Drath delegates. They are too strong, whispered the Kelra. They will kill us all, muttered the Valians. But the humans were not there to speak. Their seat remained empty. One elder of the Crotha, scarred from ancient wars, stood and said, "Do not fight them. Do not beg them. Do not provoke them. The humans are predators. And when predators are hunting, the only choice is to stay out of their path." But few listened. Fear drowned reason. The Black Fleet kept moving. One system after another fell silent. Outposts burned. Convoys vanished. Fleets crumbled, but still no declaration came from Earth. No speech, no broadcast, no demand. Only silence. The galaxy had never seen a war like this. Wars usually came with words, threats, ultimatums, speeches, but this was different. This was judgment carried out without explanation. The humans were not fighting for territory. They were not fighting for conquest. They were fighting for memory, for the hope of dawn. In one rare case, survivors returned. A crippled Kelra ship limped back to its homeworld. Its captain, eyes hollow, told the council what he had seen. "They were everywhere," he whispered. "We fired, but nothing touched them. Their weapons tore us apart, and when my ship was disabled, they left us alive. They wanted us to live, to tell us what?" demanded the council. The captain looked up, trembling. "That mercy is gone," so the whispers ended, because whispers were no longer needed. The galaxy had proof. The Black Fleet was real. It was moving. It was unstoppable. But the most terrifying part was not the weapons, not the losses, not the silence. It was the truth every empire now realized. The Black Fleet was not even at full strength. Earth had only begun to move. The galaxy had whispered. The galaxy had feared. The galaxy had watched in silence. And now it would see, because the wrath of Earth had begun. It started with a laugh. An alien commander, proud and arrogant, stood on the bridge of his flagship. His fleet of 60 ships patrolled the Drath border. Reports of human attacks had spread, but he did not believe them. He laughed before his officers, mocking the silence. Humans? Shadows? Stories told by frightened merchants? They are weak. They are prey. We are hunters. And when they come, the alarms cut him short. Something appeared on the edge of the system. Not one ship, not 10. An entire fleet, black, silent. Vast, the commander's laughter died in his throat, because the Black Fleet had arrived. The Drath fleet fired first, unleashing missiles, plasma, and railguns. The void lit up with fire. For a moment, it seemed the humans would be overwhelmed. But then, Black Fleet moved. Their weapons did not roar. They whispered silent beams of compressed gravity struck the Drath ships, folding them into twisted wrecks. Plasma storms cascaded, tearing cruisers apart like paper. One shot from a human dreadnought obliterated 3 ships at once. The Drath commander screamed for retreat, but his engines would not respond. His fleet had been caught in an invisible, web-on-AI-driven net of jammers and gravitic snares. The Drath fleet was slaughtered. Not one ship survived, and when the battle was done, the human fleet did not stop to loot or burn. It simply turned silent and moved deeper into Drath space. Across the stars, feeds carried the images. Alien spies captured fragments of the battle and spread them across every channel. Billions watched in stunned silence as human weapons tore. Through fleets like they were nothing, the galaxy had seen wars before. But never like this. The humans did not fight for land. They did not capture prisoners. They did not negotiate. They destroyed. For centuries, the galaxy had thought humanity weak, too young to be dangerous. But they had been wrong. Humanity had hidden its true arsenal. Gravity spears, weapons that bent space itself, crushing ships into singularities. Plasma storms, burning waves of fire that ate metal and flesh alike. Nanoswarms, clouds of self-replicating machines that devoured. Holes like locusts, rail cannons, weapons so massive they could pierce moons. Firing slugs at near-light speed, and worst of all, dreadnoughts run by AI minds. Cold and unfeeling, calculating every move with perfection. The galaxy realized something terrifying. Humans had been preparing for this moment all along. The second target was the Kelra Dominion, the species whose ships had fired on the hope of dawn. When the Black Fleet arrived, the Kelra gathered every warship they had, hundreds of cruisers, destroyers, carriers. They believed their numbers would be enough. They were wrong. The battle lasted only hours. Human dreadnoughts ripped through the Kelra lines. Their carriers were set ablaze, their destroyers cut apart like paper. Kelra soldiers fought bravely, but it made no difference. The humans unleashed a final weapon, an orbital strike of plasma storms that burned the Kelra. Capital skies red. Cities crumbled. Military strongholds melted into slag, and then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. The Kelra Dominion was broken. From the ruins of their capital, a single human broadcast was sent. The first words, Earth, had spoken since the Mercy ship's destruction. It was short, cold. Final, you bombed a Mercy ship. You murdered the helpless. You have no more mercy left. This is the wrath of Earth. As the message ended, the galaxy trembled. But the humans did not gloat. They did not make speeches. They did not stay. The Black Fleet vanished, again into the void. Silence followed, and that silence was worse than the destruction, because no one knew where the humans would strike next. No one knew which empire would burn. Every fleet scrambled. To prepare, Every empire held its breath. The wrath of Earth had been revealed, and it was only beginning. On Vela Prime, senators shouted in panic, "They will kill us all. We must beg for peace. We must unite against them." But no one agreed. Some feared provoking the humans. Others wanted to hide. A few foolish leaders demanded war. But war against humanity was no longer simple. Because the Black Fleet was not an army. It was a storm. Storms cannot be reasoned with. Old veterans from forgotten wars whispered what they knew. "This is who humans are," said a Crotha elder. "You think them weak because they laugh, because they sing, because they build. But when they are wronged, when mercy is betrayed, they become something else. They become wrath." And across the galaxy, people began to believe. Back on Earth, there were no celebrations, no cheers, no parades. Families still wept for the hope of dawn. Children still cried for lost mothers and fathers. The Black Fleet was not a symbol of pride. It was a symbol of justice, a symbol of a promise broken. Because the people of Earth knew the truth. This was not conquest. This was not war. This was punishment. And so the galaxy entered a new age, an age of fear, because humanity had shown its wrath. Humanity had proven its strength. Humanity had revealed weapons no one had imagined. But the worst part was this. The Black Fleet had not yet stopped. It moved still, silent across the stars, and everyone knew, sooner or later, it would come for them. It was not the roar of weapons that haunted the galaxy. It was the silence. After the Kelra Dominion was burned, the human fleet vanished again. No signals. No demands, only silence. And that silence was worse than fire, because no one knew where the DDDT's Black Fleet would strike next. Some said they had seen shadows moving through asteroid belts. Others swore an entire armada had been spotted near the SCIFI frontier. Merchants whispered of dreadnoughts flickering in and out of warp like ghosts, but no one could prove it. The only proof was wreckage, silent, twisted, frozen wreckage, and the fear that Earth was always watching. On Traylon Prime, leaders gathered in a vast council chamber. Alien senators shouted, claws slamming tables, voices shaking with desperation. "They will kill us all," one shrieked. "We must unite against them," shouted another. "No do. Nothing. If we stay quiet, they may pass us by." The room descended into chaos. For centuries, the Galactic Council had argued about trade, taxes, and borders. But now, the only subject was humanity. The Kelra Dominion had been powerful, wealthy, ancient, and in a matter of days, it had been reduced to ashes. If Earth could do that to the Kelra, who could possibly stand against them? A single recording leaked across the stars. A smuggler's ship, drifting near the ruins of the Kelra capital, had caught fragments of human cums before vanishing. It was a short message played over and over. Mercy was given. Mercy was broken. Now mercy is gone. The message carried no signature, no demands, only judgment. Alien civilians trembled as they watched. In marketplaces, on transports, in homes across the stars, the words repeated like a curse. No one slept. Easily empires tried to reach Earth. Diplomatic envoys sent messages of peace, swearing they had no part in the Mercy ship attack. But Earth did not respond. Others tried bribery, offering resources, weapons, even planets, in exchange for safety. Again, silence. The Black Fleet spoke only through fire. Not every empire chose courage. Some chose cowardice. On the Xiphon frontier, a governor ordered the destruction of every human embassy, every human settlement, every trace of Earth's presence. His reasoning was simple. If we remove them, they cannot strike us. But he was wrong. Days later, his planet's skies turned red. Witnesses said the stars themselves seemed to bleed. When it was over, Xiphon Prime was going to burn to ash by a weapon no one had ever seen. The Black Fleet never appeared. Not a single human ship was spotted. The planet simply ceased to exist. The message was clear. Erasing humanity would not protect you. Nothing would protect you. Whispers spread faster than light. Some claimed Earth's Black Fleet was endless billions of ships hidden in shadow. Others swore that every human soldier carried weapons powered by stars. A few said Earth had made a pact with something darker, machines older than time itself. The truth did not matter. The fear did, and the fear grew. Worlds near human space began to empty. Civilians fled their homes, terrified that the Black Fleet would appear in their skies. Massive refugee convoys clogged the hyperlanes. Families abandoned entire cities, carrying nothing but hope that the humans would pass them by. But the refugees soon discovered something worse than fear, rejection. Planets closed their borders. Fleets turned them away. No one wanted to take in those who might bring the wrath of Earth with them. So the convoys drifted, lost, unwanted. Praying to survive another day, back on Earth, the strategy was simple. The leaders of humanity knew the galaxy expected them to demand tribute, or declare war, or claim thrones. But humanity wanted none of that. They wanted fear, because fear lasted longer than victory. So the Black Fleet struck, disappeared, and struck again, always without warning, always without pattern. Sometimes a mining outpost, sometimes a military convoy, sometimes an entire colony. No one could predict it. No one could stop it. The galaxy was being taught a lesson. When you kill the helpless, you invite a wrath you cannot control. Among the elder races, memories stirred. Long ago, humans had been warned against joining galactic society. Some old powers had whispered, "Do not awaken Earth. Do not provoke them." But arrogance had silenced those voices, and now the warnings returned, whispered in dark corners of the galaxy. "Do you see now?" One elder hissed. "This is why we feared them. This is why we left them alone. Because when humans are pushed too far, they do not fight like others. They do not stop. They do not forget." By now, Galaxy understood something terrible. Silence was humanity's weapon. Every time the Black Fleet vanished, fear spread faster than when they appeared. Every shadow in space became a human ship, was a human trap. Every silence on the come was a warning of death. The galaxy began to collapse under its own fear. And through it all, Earth said nothing. No broadcast. No demands. No explanation, only silence. And that silence was louder than any war cry, because now the galaxy knew the truth. Humanity was not just fighting. Humanity was hunting, and the hunt had only begun. The council chamber shook with rage. Dozens of alien leaders screamed across the vast hall, their voices overlapping in chaos. Maps of destroyed colonies flickered on giant screens. Shadows of wrecked fleets burned behind their eyes. It was not just fear anymore. It was madness. Earth must be stopped. One senator roared. "They are not fighting like a species, they are fighting like predators." Another slammed a clawed hand onto the table. "You saw what happened to Ziffin Prime? Entire worlds gone without warning? We are next." But deep inside the chamber, another voice whispered the darkest words yet. "If we do not unite against Earth, then perhaps we must use Earth against itself." And so began the breaking point. The Galactic Council had faced wars, plagues, even supernovas. But it had never faced fear like this. The humans had unleashed silence, fire, and shadows, and no one could predict their next move. Some species demanded war, gather every fleet, every weapon, and strike Earth before it grew. Even stronger, others trembled at the thought. If the mighty Kelra Dominion had been burned to nothing, what chance did anyone else have? And then came the third group, those who whispered of betrayal. "Perhaps we should not fight Earth at all. Perhaps we should guide their wrath elsewhere." Chamber grew darker with every secret deal. In quiet rooms far from the council's eyes, conspiracies bloomed. The Drax Consortium, merchants with no loyalty except to profit, began feeding humans false intelligence coordinates of rival fleets, colonies, and leaders hoping Earth would strike their enemies first. The Krith, Dominions secretly armed human-hating rebels within other empires, gambling that chaos would weaken both humanity and their rivals. Even the proud Xiphon survivors, those who had seen their homeworld erased, whispered in desperation, "If another world must burn to save ours, so be it." The galaxy was breaking apart, piece by piece, and all the while, Earth said nothing. No messages, no ultimatums. The Black Fleet simply appeared, struck, vanished again, like a predator testing its prey. But what the galaxy did not know was that Earth was listening. Every council broadcast, every leaked message, every conspiracy, and humanity was patient. On the fringe of the galaxy, the Karen Syndicate met in secret. Their plan was bold and foolish. "We cannot destroy Earth," their leader hissed, "but we can cut off its head." They plotted to assassinate the human high command, believing that without leaders, the Black Fleet would collapse into chaos. And so they sent hunters, specialists in silence, masters of infiltration. They slipped into human space, cloaked and cautious. But what they found was not weakness. It was a trap. When the infiltrators breached the human outpost, they expected confusion. Instead, they found humans waiting, not soldiers, but civilians, engineers, farmers, children. And yet, every single one carried a weapon. The infiltrators realized too late that on Earth, there were no non-combatants. Every man, woman, and child was ready to fight. The mission ended in screams, fire, silence. The galaxy never learned exactly what happened to those infiltrators, only that the Karen Syndicate's fleets began disappearing soon, after vanishing one by one in two. Blackness back in the council, desperation reached its peak. A vote was called. One side demanded war against Earth, total war, before it was too late. The other side begged for peace, surrender, tribute, anything to survive. The chamber fell into chaos. Senators shouted. Some drew weapons. Security forces clashed inside. The hall itself. By the time the vote was tallied, blood had been spilled on the council floor. And worse, no decision was reached. The galaxy's great alliance was shattered. While leaders fought, civilians lost hope. On mining colonies, workers refused to leave shelters, terrified the Black Fleet would appear. Merchants abandoned their trade routes, ships drifting empty in space. Entire cities fell silent, their people too afraid to even turn on the lights. Rumors spread, Earth had spies on every world. Earth had weapons that could shatter suns. Had fleets hidden inside shadows themselves. No one knew the truth. But everyone believed the fear. From orbit, human intelligence networks observed it all. The chaos. The betrayals. The panic, and Earth's leaders saw something powerful. The galaxy was already destroying itself. Humans did not need to burn every world. They only needed to wait. Because fear was a fire that spread on its own, and so the galaxy reached its breaking point. Councils divided. Empires betrayed each other. Civilians lived in terror, and above it all, the Black Fleet watched from the shadows, silent. Waiting, the question was no longer, will humanity strike again? The question was, who will break first, the galaxy, or humanity itself? The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. On the edge of the galaxy, the largest armada ever assembled hung in space. Hundreds of alien fleets, banners of a dozen species glowing like dying embers. This was not unity, it was desperation. They had seen worlds burn. They had watched the Black Fleet appear and vanish like a phantom. They had tasted fear, betrayal, and silence. And now they gambled everything on one final strike. Destroy Earth, their commanders whispered. End the human plague, before it devours us all. But what none of them understood was this. Earth had been waiting, watching, preparing, and when the galaxy came for humanity, humanity would show them why wrath should never be unleashed. The order was given. Engines flared. The great armada surged towards Sol. Worlds emptied themselves into this fleet. Soldiers who had never met stood shoulder to shoulder. Even enemies became allies in the name of survival. They carried weapons of unimaginable size, planet busters, star killers, the most powerful machines of war the galaxy had ever built, and still, deep in their hearts, every captain wondered, would it be enough? On Earth, there were no speeches, no cries of defiance, no desperate messages. There was only silence. From orbit, the planet looked almost unguarded. Just a blue and green world, turning in the dark. But beneath its oceans, inside its moons, and hidden within the shadows of space, humanity had built its trap. The Black Fleet was not scattered. It was waiting. When the Armada entered Sol, it stretched across the system dozens of fleets in perfect formation. They expected resistance at the edge. Small skirmishes, guerrilla strikes. Instead, there was nothing. Mars was silent. The belt was empty. Jupiter's moons showed no defense. The aliens grew bold. Perhaps Earth was weaker than they thought. But when the first wave neared Earth itself, the trap was sprung. It began with darkness. Every alien ship's sensors failed at once. Screens turning black, star maps vanished. Communication collapsed. Then, the shadows moved. The Black Fleet erupted from nothingness, vast ships that bent light itself. Armed with weapons the galaxy had never imagined, beams of pure gravity tore through the Armada, ripping ships apart like paper. Swarms of hunter drones dove into enemy carriers, exploding from within. The aliens had come prepared for war. They had not come prepared for annihilation. Still, they fought. Great warships fired their star killers, shaking the void, a sun cracking. Beam lanced toward Earth itself only to be caught, twisted, and hurled back by human defense grids. Planets became weapons. Moons split open, revealing hidden human fortresses. Even asteroids turned into guided missiles, smushing through the alien lines. The galaxy realized the truth too late. Earth had turned its own solar system into a fortress, and the Black Fleet was only its spear. For hours, the battle raged. Alien captains screamed for reinforcements. Admirals ordered suicidal charges. Some fleets tried to flee only to find human ships already waiting along their escape routes. The galaxy had walked willingly into Earth's jaws, and the jaws were closing at the height of the slaughter. For the first time since the Mercy ship massacre, Earth spoke. A single transmission cut across the battlefield. One voice, calm and cold. You fired on a ship of mercy. You slaughtered the helpless, and you thought humanity would bow. Today you learned the cost of that mistake. Every fleet heard the words. Every soldier felt the chill. And then the voice ended with 3 final words. No more mercy. The alien armada broke. Ships scattered in every direction, discipline collapsing under terror, but there was nowhere left to run. The Black Fleet hunted them relentlessly, tearing apart those who fled, consuming those who fought. Entire species lost their military power. In a single day, leaders who had sworn Earth's destruction watched their fleets vanish into fire. The reckoning had come. When the smoke cleared, silence returned. The greatest armada in history was gone. The void was littered with wreckage-broken ships, shattered weapons, drifting survivors who would never return home, and Earth stood untouched. The galaxy's gamble had failed. Humanity had not been destroyed. Humanity had become something else, a force of fear, shadow in the stars, a name whispered with both terror and awe. Days later, the surviving Council worlds received a transmission. No threats, no ultimatums, only a warning. Do not test humanity again. We did not seek this war. But if you bring it to our doors, you will not like what you find waiting. The message ended, and the galaxy knew that Earth's wrath was real. The Mercy ship had been bombed. Civilians had been murdered. The galaxy thought humanity would beg, surrender, or break. Instead, humanity had shown them something else. That when Earth fights, it does not fight for victory. It fights for survival. And survival means no mercy. The galaxy would never forget. The stars themselves would whisper of the day humanity unleashed its wrath.